Hello, my name is Andrey Lobanov. I'm a doctor, yoga therapist with lots of different medical qualifications. But today, I would like to start a course I called Self-Help Against Viral Infections, Prevention and Recovery. The fact is that the events of the last days and weeks have shown that in this world a person can only rely on himself. There is a certain illusion that someone can help us, healthcare, authorities, and so on. But it is not true. If something happens, you can rely only on yourself. The one in a pickle is the one who's got to tickle is the main motto. The purpose of thing I would like to offer to you is my long experience. More than 40 years I've been studying traditional systems and combining it with medical education I've got at the university and by working in the field. A disease that is now called coronavirus and other viral diseases have a certain effect on the human structures. In conventional medicine, we only take into account our physical body, mucous membranes, respiratory organs, immune system, and so on. From the point of view of traditional systems, we should consider something else. Today I don't have my favorite nest doll that is a good model clearly illustrating the human structure. This is multidimensionality, where one is stacked into another, and they are dependent on each other. This is a very important thing to understand. They are connected and held together by a single space. Let's call it mental function, mental structure that unites and connects these nest dolls, creates a connection between them. We roughly get the things that we will now consider. This doll, this cup will be the physical body. It represents a set of different systems. The function of this structure, of this physical body, is the organ of action. The organ of action that exists in this material world. The second, in order to exist, it needs energy, energy that provides movement, thinking, and everything else. The third is a manager, an information structure. This structure is very important to receive information from outside and inside the system itself. Analyze, process, and distribute, make it move, give necessary energy, give a signal for the energy to move to the physical body, and the body takes the necessary actions. In the course of our life, all the information that we have accumulated in ourselves, even before we were born, we got it through genes from our parents. So, we form a set of basic programs that gather around inner self, a personality. This is the set of programs. This personality has an idea of himself or herself about the world around, forms the desire and paradigm of life he or she follows. This is what our system is. The structure that connects us with the universe, such a global connection. If we feel it and support it as a rule, we get it at the time of birth. But gradually the personality displaces it, and we lose the connection between this large component of us. This is a very important moment for a person to be in a viable state. Having a spiritual, so-called intuitive, sensible connection with the world through which signals go. Signals that make self-regulation of the system possible. We know what regeneration is, and that systems are capable of repairing themselves. If it is able to repair itself, it needs support from the big world. There is a special structure for this. It's not even our brain, not our mind, but something else. Most of this is done by philosophers and religious leaders. Medicine approached this in psychotherapy, psychology, and psychiatry, like examination of the soul, the science of the soul. Psychology, psychic, psyche means soul. This is what connects and blinds us to the big world. It is very important to keep the soul in a certain balanced state, so that it doesn't lose its properties to connect and manage these processes throughout the system. This is what ensures self-regulation, the efficiency of self-regulation of all our structures. So, the goal of my course, and I would like to make several videos to help people who are ready to take care of themselves, of their lives, to organize it independently. Maybe this is one of the purposes of this period of time. It can be useful to reconsider the idea of life and of yourself. Therefore, illnesses come so that a person can reconsider and endure something within himself and let it go. And the disease that now scares us all can have such a goal. So, due to the fact that all these structures are interconnected, they are in unity. The impact that the external environment has on us, and what is external environment? It is an information field, information environment. It affects us very much, affects the structure which we called the mental structure that is responsible for information, for work with information, and our personality. If our personality is not ready to perceive information correctly, it doesn't have enough programs that could correctly respond to environmental impact that we are experiencing. The task of this level is to find those necessary programs inside, find strength, and learn how to manage the information space, because this is the main, the first virus that enters our system. Fear, some kind of anger, aggression, internal expectation of trouble, fear for your life, for yourself. Information flows enter our system and begin to produce their effect. Primarily, they affect energy structures, the emotional background is changing. How can we tell if there is electricity in the virus, any energy? We must connect some device. It can give light, or if it is a radio, it starts talking. That's how we know that there is electricity. How do we know what state our system is it? It's just the emotional background. How much a person is charged with this emotional background, it shows a state of activity of our internal energy. If I'm happy and have the emotional lift, so I have enough energy, it is active. If I'm in the dumps, in depression, in fears, then my energy drops. Accordingly, this is reflected on the physical carrier, that is, on the physical body. First of all, it hits its special structures. The immunity decreases because a person gives such signals. He or she feels bad, lets in a lot of negative information. Respectively, this will be reflected in the structures of the physical body. It launches a lot of different mechanisms, but now we will not delve into psychology. You can read about that if you need to. I will tell it briefly. It is very important that these informational factors are stress factors because they carry a negative information load. The information itself cannot cause any harm if a person doesn't allow it. If he is ready to perceive information, it won't be negative for him. If not, it will be a stress factor for him. In other words, it will damage his mind, his information structures will move further along the chain to other carriers. As a result, we will get some kind of disease, a shift in the balance towards the disease. The body cannot cope with energetic and informational and biological viruses and bacteria, that is, with the effect that the world has on it. So, the first task we must solve is to close the access for information viruses. We must learn to get rid of the information that brings negativity, feverishness into our life. This doesn't mean that you do not need to do anything if you feel some kind of threat. If there is a threat and a person doesn't want to get sick, he must protect himself and his family. This is natural, this is okay. But there must be a rational approach. It should not come out emotionally in fears and stress. This is a clear and sober position. I must do this and that. Besides, resources are saved because a person correctly mobilizes his forces to do something in this situation. But if he is subdued through fear, subdued through some vibrations that tear him apart and waste his energy, all our resources lose activity. And this is it. We start doing wrong actions, found ourselves in wrong situations. And no matter how we are afraid, fear, surround ourselves with various means of protection, we will definitely find ourselves in a place where someone sneezes and coughs, and you won't be able to deal with the situation. You attract it with your fears and resonate with situations that will lead you there. Your thoughts, your inner expectations and fears. Therefore, acceptance of the situation, correct understanding, correct vision of the situation, correct assessment of your inner state, of your external actions in such situations are very important. There are some tools that could help you if we learn those methods. First of all, it is self-control. These are the tasks that are actually set by the modern system. I am not talking about the Indian traditional system, I am talking about modern yoga, about that understanding that yoga is a way of interacting with information environment and using it to manage all structures of its own system through the connection. The word yoga can be translated like this if we change it, but this term has just become commonplace. Yoga is like the way to connect with something, to interact with that. It can be my own system, my physical body, its part, breathing organs. It can be my spine, it can be my thoughts, it can be my energy, it can be my personality, informational programs that build that personality. If I learn this connection technology, and in this connection, I correctly interact with what I am connected to, then I can control it. This is the basis of the yoga that I represent, and now we call it yoga of the modern world, or yoga lamb. And the technologies we offer are built on teaching how to manage your life through managing your own systems, all these cups. Let's start with a few tips to help you master controlling your mind. In fact, these are ancient technologies that have passed through the centuries, and people instinctively come to understanding that they need to do something with themselves. I called it using an Indian word mantra. Mantra O. O is our usual and clear thing. Like people in villages, women engaged in unbearable hard work, whose life was hard, went to psychotherapy sessions at the well. They came there with rockers. Some women gathered together with and began to talk among themselves, or and over this and that, over husbands, over kids. They groaned and felt relief. They threw away information they kept in their minds. They let it go, removed from themselves. What do we need for that? If you feel that your mind is already overloaded and something is boiling and vibrating in your head, thoughts are running around and you can't control them, but they control you. If you can do it, sit in a comfortable position, in a chair, in bed. But it's better not to sit on bed, it's better to lie there, but it will be harder to do in lying position. We need an excursion of the thorax. First, you need to sit down and tune into the feeling of your body, in any position as you wish. For me, it's more comfortable to sit like this. I sit down, close my eyes, and with attention begin to scan, to feel my body and listen where and what is happening to me now and accept this. I try not to think about what position I take, a right or wrong one, what is right. I accept everything as it is, and everything is correct, but exactly as it is. Then, inside myself, I try to find my emotional state. That is also represent if I'm kind of excited, angry, but I accept this and I don't try to say myself that it is wrong, it shouldn't be like that. Don't do that, just accept it as it is. This is exactly what connects our will and our attention with these structures and begins to transform them. Then I move myself to the space that we call our mind. On the screen somewhere inside us, we can feel what is happening now. It can be like flicker. Someone doesn't necessarily see a picture with thoughts and images. That can be just kind of flickering background. Usually, when a program ends and the TV continues to work, such flicker appears on the screen. These are the impressions that remain after the impact of information on our material structures. So, they are reflected in this worry and chaos. Usually, if a person is in a clear and calm state, this background is clear too. There is just a clean and white canvas. But if he sees flickering, it means that the residual effect of information that he received appears in this way. In order to continue our work, we must collect all our attention, collect all our power in one point. Usually, we split up this feeling into 3 cups: physical, emotional or energetic, and mental that expresses itself in the state of our mind. We combine all this, and I sit here, and all this is combined in my body. My mind, my energy, my emotional state, all is here. Inside myself, I find a point that can be called the center of my system at the moment. What is it? It can be a feeling that appears with the sound I. I mentally say I and listen where that I appears. It can be in my head, it can be in my thorax, in my belly or in my pelvis. Listening to this sound, we begin to contact this area. If it's the thorax, it is good. The head, also good. Everything is good and right. Just at the moment, activity is taking place in one of the centers of our system. And then we connect with this center. Plunge into it deeper and deeper and repeat like a formula. I am the will. That is, we feel ourselves as an expression of energy and willpower. Now we collect that will inside us and the center it in this point, and then we direct our attention together with breath to the space of our mind and look what is going on there. It might feel like a boiling cauldron. We put it all together. We do not consider any separate thought and separate object that we can highlight in our head. We put it all together. We open the whole space with inhale. Out will help us to do so. And we put it all together, and with the sound, let it go. Thus, we make a series of inhales and exhales until the complete emptying. Release and relax, release and relax, instant relaxation, and after that again. This sound and desire, the power that we have accumulated in our center, helps us to free ourselves from all the negative material that we hold in our head now. All fears and worries, everything we have accumulated, now we are letting go and relaxing. Someone needs to do this 15, 20 or 30 times, but usually after that there is an effect of nice relaxation and slight dizziness. You feel like your head is filled with white noise, and you remain in this state. Do not think about anything. Do not ponder over, just be in this empty state of your mind. After that, it is better to get a state of positive thought. You probably have favorite places. Someone loves some kind of meadow, a lawn or a garden bed in their village, where you feel as comfortable as possible. Someone feels comfortable on a sofa or in a chair. Or in childhood, you have a state called a resource state. Move your consciousness there and remain there. Then you will receive a charge of energy, and it will be a very good and important incentive for you. This is one of the techniques that is available to any person. One more practice concerning prevention. We understand that the virus comes to us from people who are infected. It comes through contacts. We enter a room and have to discuss some work-related issues, and you feel that a person is sick. Usually there is a field and the body begins to react. Your nose starts tickling and your head is like foggy. That means a sick person's field begins to affect you. The solar plexus is also starting to react, and this is one of those techniques that we will study soon. The ability of your body to interact with a potential carrier of some negative information, and the virus is information. You know that a virus is a shell in which all information protein is embedded in its pure form. This shell begins to find the corresponding resonance frequency that is attracted to, sticks to, and injects information there. The task of this information can be different. We consider it pathological because it can carry some kind of destruction. If we think in this way and create a state of inner struggle, and this state of struggle sometimes increases the sticking to a person, because the struggle usually appears through fear. Reasonable actions appear without fear. I do this because it must be done, and, on the contrary, I maintain my emotional background at a high level. If I have a feeling of inner joy, but it seems like there is no reason to rejoice when I'm sick. But a positive background helps us to activate vitality and energy. Negative things only lower it down. Even though we may feel sick, we must find those resources that allow us to stay afloat. In state of joy, pleasure, bliss, love or comparison, something that vibrates on high levels. Fears, personal worries, fears and desires have a low frequency. Viral programs get on these frequencies as they respond to them. Therefore, a person who lives for a high goal, helps others, doesn't get sick because he or she just has no time. His or her energetic and informational system is charged differently. So, what means of enlightening are there? If you notice that a person is sick, those means of highlighting is sensibility of our body. This is what I was talking about. Each of us has some markers and signals that are able to feel the threat with our body. It all depends on the different levels of human sensitivity. The usual and the simplest highlight is the visual contact. When you see a person, when his nose is not okay, his voice is different, so he clearly has a cold, a virus infection, or he is coughing, and you can't escape now, or put on your mask, or you did it, so then you have a chance to help your body cope with the entrance of this viral factor inside your body. But how? There is a special breathing called cleansing breath. This is a program that helps to activate blood in the lungs tissue, as well as in bronchi and trachea. How we do that? We must create pressure that promotes rush of blood. And blood contains substances, structures that destroy and devour hostile bacteria that have entered the body, recognizes them and devours them. To do this, we need to help blood quickly come to our structures. What do? We breathe like follows. Inhale. And do it one more time. 2, 3, 4 times, and you get a bit dizzy. You feel hot while doing these exercises. What happens here? Inhaling completely and filling the lungs with air. We tighten our lips and create a small gap. We press our lips to our teeth and contracting the breathing muscles and the diaphragm below and the thorax, muscles of the thorax, we sort of squeeze the air out of ourselves. We push it out portion-wise, but you cannot take breaks in this effort as some do. Release and relax. No, we are constantly pressing it out. No relaxation. This practice is best done when you talk to someone who is known to be sick. Step aside if you have the opportunity and do 3 to 5 breathings. So, you get a chance to prevent your airways from the enemy preventively and make the blood rush to those organs. In Soviet times, in medicine, after surgery or after long-line periods, patients inflated balloons for stimulation. That's almost the same impact. You create pressure, and pressure makes the blood rush to the respiratory organs. Well, I think that's all for today. It's very important to learn how to breathe correctly, because the first part, when a virus comes into contact with our mucous membrane, And by coronavirus, we know that a bacterium comes along, and there is a viral and bacterial injury or impact, and this already passes to the lungs, to the alveoli, and it becomes necessary to train this. Oddly enough, most people do not know how to breathe, although we were all born with this ability. But people gradually lose it. But these stress factors, impact of various life circumstances, gradually reduce the volume of lungs excursions. The whole parts of the respiratory tract are turned off and the diaphragm doesn't work. And this is just the most damaged part by the coronavirus. So learning how to work with the diaphragm and turn in on is a very important thing. We will discuss it in upcoming videos, and how to breathe correctly, and to breathe means control your breathing muscles. Thank you for your attention.